Keynesian economics is based on absurd ideas such as wasting is as good as investing depending on the circumstances, or that spending borrowed money without expecting a larger return is sound economics. Well, the truth is that Keynesian economics is as much economics as creationist biology is biology and Earth-centric astronomy is astronomy. No self-respecting physicist operates under the assumption that the Earth is the center of the universe, or no self-respecting biologist operates under the assumption that the dinosaurs and humans coexisted, or that the Earth was formed some 6,000 years ago. So, why is it that so many economists, most of them in fact, believe that wasting is the same as investing? One possible solution is that I'm full of bullshit and I'm totally wrong about Keynesian economics. But you should be able to find that out for yourself. I will not try to demonstrate why Keynesian economics is wrong here, but rather I'll try to point out why you should be very skeptical about it and find out more about it for yourself. So let's start assuming that we know nothing about Keynesian theory of economics, but we just know the answer to these following two questions. 1. Who benefits the most from Keynesian economics? And 2. Who gets to teach economics? In other more general words, the two questions are 1. Who provides the information? And 2. Who gets to profit from the situation that arises from that information? If the answer to both questions is the same, it's safe to say that you should be very skeptical, a lot more skeptical actually, of the information than you would otherwise be. So what makes Keynesian economics different to creationist biology and Earth-centric astronomy? Well, who benefits from creationist biology and Earth-centric astronomy? Mostly religions, right? But are religions educating the masses? No. So there's no conflict of interest here. The same is not true for Keynesian economics. Let me give you a couple of examples before we deal with Keynesian economics. Would you give all your money to someone who tells you, "Give me everything you have. I know for a fact that the whole fate of the world depends on it"? No, right? The knowledge that the fate of the world depends on you giving that person your money comes precisely from the person who is set to profit from it. In other terms, the incentives are not set up right, so an alarm is triggered in your thought process that encourages you to be skeptical about that information. Here's another example. If I want to sell my car, I may say, "It's a wonderful car, it's never had a problem before, it's in great shape, and it's just like new." If you want to buy a car, and even if you know nothing about my car, you know that just taking my information at face value is not a prudent thing to do. The car may very well be in top shape, or it might be garbage. In any case, your alarm would be triggered and tell that you would be encouraged to gain information from other more reliable sources, like you yourself checking the car or having a mechanic take a look at it before you buy it. In other words, you want to set up the incentives right. The current owner or my incentives is to sell the car for as much money as I can get from it. But your incentive is to buy the best car you can within your budget. Those two incentives are not aligned. They are pointing in opposite directions, in fact. If you have your mechanic inspect the car, then the incentives become aligned, because your mechanic's incentive is to come up with a correct assessment of the car's condition, since he doesn't want to lose your business in the future if you find out he was wrong. Now, going back to Keynesian economics, the same two questions should be asked about everything. So, number 1, who benefits the most from Keynesian economics? The answer I propose is that, besides understanding the theoretical reasons behind it, but only by empirical observation, is that politicians and large corporations benefit from Keynesian economics the most. On the one part, politicians get more power as their laws expand and government becomes bigger. On the other side, corporations not only get to block freedom of trade to protect themselves from competition, they actually get to force people to buy from them, through laws. And they even are the recipients of huge government handouts and bailouts. Number two, who do we get the information about economics from? Who do we get that knowledge from? A quick answer to that is government, of course. Education is extremely regulated by government, and even if you get your economics degree from a so-called private school, they still need to comply with government standards and regulations. In effect, it is government who educates you. So the follow-up question here is, who influences the decisions of government? The answer is politicians and big corporations, right? Politicians do it directly because they are the ones in charge of government, and corporations do it indirectly because they have the money to lobby and bribe and buy off and finance campaigns, etc. So, if the answer to both questions is the same, namely politicians and big corporations, why is our alarm not triggered here? Well, think about it. Who has educated you since a very early age? Who is in charge of deciding what a child should and should not learn? Who has in its power the decision to teach children to think rationally about everything or not to think rationally? Well, the answer again is government. Doesn't it strike you as weird that your alarm is not triggered when dealing with government issues, but it is on the other, maybe less important situations? Shouldn't we be skeptical about that? Are the incentives lined up for you, for your benefit here? I'll post a couple of links below where you can find information about Keynesian economics that you don't get from school or the mainstream media. Now, I know I have not proved the absurdity of Keynesian economics here. That takes a lot more than just a short video. However, I hope I accomplished something way more important, and that is to reconnect the trigger that was disconnected in your thought process quite some time ago.